Thank you for the blessing to know, create all things, and I'm not under the law of flesh here under this. I'm not a corporation, I'm not under the ordinances or mandates. You blotted out the handwriting of ordinances in the book of Colossians 2 and 14. So thank you, Father, for doing that, now writing that spiritual testament. And thank you for the book of Luke. Oh, you be without counsel, and they'll throw you in front of their magistrates and their men in their black robes and their synagogues, and you be without counsel. Worry not what you shall say, I will give you the answer. So Father's doing it, so I'm not. He wrote all things. Thank you, Christ. Thank you, Hamashiach, for giving me the stillness, although it's not an easy walk. I have to keep documenting this. I have a child that's missing, and under the case where they're trying to throw me now in prison because I stood in front of them, would let throw my son in prison. They don't have the evidence. They don't want to look at the evidence, and never once has the evidence has it been looked at. So they're trying to take me to a 2-day trial, and my son's not even possibly alive. So how could they take me to a trial where my son and my daughter are under the right of discovery and the suppression of evidence? I have the right to call witness in my favor. That's my 6th Amendment under my right of trial. If they're going to take you to trial, I have to charge you under Title 18. Those are the statutes that they're going to charge you in a criminal trial. What's trying to charge me with criminal, So that's beside itself. I have the right to discovery and call witness in my favor. I have the right of suppression of evidence. I have the right to have a fair and speedy trial. I have the right, remember, under my 5th Amendment, to due process. So I have the right to be secure in my house, papers, persons, and effects, and they violated that straight out the gate. So I have a pre-trial coming up, and I have to make documentation against the judge because I need him to go to prison. And that's not because I seek vengeance. It's because probably it's a little cold out here in the desert this morning. If he would have dropped the no contact order, then my son could have been the law enforcement, where I was telling him my son is, I think he's dead or kidnapped. He's here. My daughter is dead and kidnapped here. They denied me a call for service to go look for the welfare check of my son, which is unbelievable. It's hard to believe that the things in this case have even been done, but they are discovery. They will be brought up, and they can't run from a trial. They can't take me to trial for 2 days. The attorney quit, and I cannot get, the attorney has broken contact with me. So there's already a failure. That's my right to adequate counsel has been violated as well. So there's too many violations in this case. So I just have to keep putting my faith in Father because I'm still concerned about my son's well-being. I can't even get, my counsel, supposed appointed counsel, to give me any counsel. So 13 months now, back in May. Well, no, it's 14 now, right? Because July, they just keeps ticking away. So like 400 some days or something. So how could they have a case against me where I wouldn't let them arrest my son? And I told them to drop the no contact order against my son, and they would have gone in. The police would have been able to do a welfare check. So if my son is dead, the judge in Lake County, Oregon, is criminally liable for his death, and so is my daughter. So I want to have him held accountable in the trial of Dave Vandenberg for whatever Marshall Radonich, if he's the one who murdered my son, where I was trying to get the cops to go to the house. They denied me call for service, and also denied, because my passport was at that location, and I'd already told them about that, which is a felony, and they should have gone there for that alone or gotten the federal and government involved. And there was also a large amount of my precious metals that had bailed my son out of jail. This is the person that I'd put my trust in to help bail my son out, and I think he ended up kidnapping my daughter and doing some horrible things. So I hope I'm wrong, but I can't get an answer. So I have to press because nobody's looking for him. The law enforcement's been notified. He went missing in September, so this has almost been a year. So I have to keep creating discovery. I called for them not to come bring a SWAT team to my house, and they already shot my son once. Imagine having to be a father. Well, not a father. He knows I'm not his father. I'm his dad. Apologize, Father, that I had to call the police on him. But I was calling for a welfare check where he'd already been shot by the police once and grenaded, as well as my daughter. And I had to send the police back to go try to look for them because I can't have contact with them. So I have to use the channels that I'm supposed to be using, which is the law, right? Due process. So not going and looking for my son is a felony. I'm going to hold those guaranteed. If my son's dead and they didn't go look for him, Josephine County Sheriff's Office will be going under trial in this case as well. So I think the feds sooner or later are going to have to step in on this case. I think they have just made too many mistakes, and I've already called for the feds. I've already called the feds years ago, and I called out on the warrant to the feds, but they had already called the feds. So I've already called the feds. So the feds have already been called. I've made calls for years about this case now, and they don't want to. Now they want to take me a 2-day trial, and for 258 hours and 17 days on this platform live streamed, pleading them not to bring men with guns and shoot us, and they did anyways. So, and they grenaded my daughter as well, and then kidnapped her. And I have evidence of these things, all these things. This isn't a joke. This isn't something. This has happened, and I have it documented, and I have it live streamed. Actually, the SWAT raid live stream. So they're going to have to face accountability for their actions. I have the grenade pinned, so I know that I didn't know till recently that my son and daughter were grenaded as well. That's what woke me up. So somebody's going to have to be held accountable, and that's what these, just an average 98.5% of cases in America, they take a plea. They plea out, plea bargain, plea deal, plea agreement, whatever you want to, and you have the right to trial in your Sixth Amendment. So most people don't go to trial. That's actually 3% taken to trial, but 1.5% plea out in the end there or they don't go render a jury verdict. Verdict by jury, by your peers. Some plea bargain, so they can extort your merchant number. But moving on. So my son's still missing, and they're trying to take me to a trial where my son is the trial. My son is the trial, and now he's missing, possibly dead, and I've already reported that he could be dead. So I don't know where to go from here. The counsel quit, and I can't hire a counsel because I've tried, because there's a seated counsel on the case. And so I have to create this discovery. They cannot deny my discovery, so they're going to try to take me to trial in Lake County, Oregon on 2 days, when for 17 days straight I pleaded with the live stream where they were recording it, and I have documented in the discovery that I've gotten so far, which I haven't been given all my discovery, and they've already violated my right of discovery and suppression of evidence, such as all my evidence is the same evidence as my son and my daughters in this case, because I get their discovery. They're in my case. I can't. Each defendant gets different counsel, and they had my son's attorney represent me, and that's an illegal, that would get the case thrown out, and that would actually get the attorney disbarred. And the attorney found out that I knew that and didn't know that this was going to be one of these sweep it under the rug cases. And filed to quit too as my son's attorney because he knew he'd making a horrible mistake because he had actually represented me 3 times in open court, which you can't do. That's illegal. So there's too many errors. You have to operate and you have to execute a warrant properly. I'm a prior law enforcement officer, so I know that as a fact. It's just our constitutional right. They can't just come mob you, and that's what they did. They grenaded my son and daughter before they ever grenaded me. And so they came with violence, and they came to kill, and they didn't get that. And well, stop telling me to let it go. I have a case in 2 days. You're an idiot. Stop talking in here. If you're not going to speak relevant about the Constitution, I'm a veteran too, as military police in the Army. So please use your right to remain silent in here. I'm not going to, address trolls. My soul. I'm not worried who can take my flesh or what happens to me. I'm worried about who could take, and he's doing it. So he brings in people just like you. Okay, so you're not here by chance. There's no such thing as free will or no such thing as luck. So okay, man. And why are you typing in all capital letters? That's like a thing in this chat you're not allowed to do. So you might not have been here before. It's for the moderators only, so you can see your way out of here. Thank you for your time. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. So, okay, moving on. And please don't say anything. If you really say something, you're not gonna, you'll prove exactly that most people are brutish in nature and they have an unwillingness to learn. So, okay, so I have a son that's missing and a daughter that's missing, and I've reported this to the police, and they wouldn't go look for him. And now I make an accountability for the judge to have the judge removed, barred, imprisoned, not by vengeance, because accountability, people need to be held accountable. If not in this county, you're not gonna, you just get walked on in this county. And like I said, 98.5% of cases. Whoa, what happened to my screen here? Hold on, apologize. Whoa. The screen's going a little weird on me. Apologize, I'm out in the desert. Why isn't it doing that? All right, let me try to figure this out. So, okay, so yeah, that's what I said. I know fathers knew. You didn't get hit in the face with a grenade, so don't try to tell me what to do in this case as far as God. You just came into grace and truth, right? Is the mirror of this, no, I mirror his channel, Brother Jim, and you're going to tell me to put it in God's hands, huh? Quite ignorant, you know that? Father created all things, vessels of wrath, fitted for destruction. Most people go to hell from the foundation of the world. Father doesn't love everybody. He only loves his bride. One sin of the Old Testament was death. Please don't talk about scripture unless you study out of concordance, interlinear Textus Receptus, use either eSword app or your lexicon. Don't say another thing about scripture ever again. You might want to go stick your face. There's 7 things in scripture he tells you to do. And if you don't know what those are, and the final thing he left us with is don't add even a jot, if you don't know what that is, or tittle, or what the word halakha or haggadah is. Please don't say anything else about Father or Shiloh, my love. He's my Redeemer. That's my love, and I do this for him, and I took an oath to the Constitution because it's a God-given right, no matter what you believe in, because you can't believe in God, and you can't believe in aliens or Bigfoot. Belief isn't a thought in your head. You're an idiot. Now, please don't speak on this case unless you can know where my son is at, or on my daughter, or the word of Father, because that's he spoke all this in existence, and he said don't add to it. That Greek word's porneia. That's idolatry, and he divorced his bride and called her a whore, in that book of Revelation, because she cheated on his agape. If you don't know what that is, please move along. Please move along. I'm doing this because Father's testing me. He's testing all of us. Remember, who shall ever come after me? Let them deny themselves daily, take up your cross daily, and follow after me daily. So I know what he is inside of me. He's not somewhere in the sky, and he's not in some house made by hand in churches. So they went after a man of God who was just trying to gave my son sanctuary here. And, I did not violate. They brought good men with guns. I pleaded to them for 17 days straight after calling for years to try to get the feds out here to take care of these corrupt cops. I used to be one of these corrupt cops. I used to be one of these corrupt veterans. We're not supposed to go outside our borders and seek vengeance under this testament. That was 2,600 years ago. So never should we be going out and seeking vengeance. Turn your cheek. He said 490 times. I'll do the math for you. If it doesn't math to me, it don't add up. I have a spiritual calculator. Do you understand? If it doesn't math, how about that? And under this covenant, hados, it has not pride one above another. He used to have a favorite. I'm not going to go into the whole lesson. Go back. There's thousands of hours. Never cursed once on this channel until I was hit in the face with a grenade. I didn't know till recently my daughter was grenaded in the too, and my son. And that's what woke me up. And I'd only been asleep for probably less than a half an hour and already told my son, don't fight these people. Remember the thief on the cross? And that's exactly what he did. We all went with our hands in the air. My son still got shot with his hands in the air. So imagine what it's like to be a dad and then have to call the cops and tell them, because it's all going to be recorded. Please don't shoot my son. You guys already shot my son. But I'm more concerned about my daughter now. My son, he could be raping my daughter. I don't know what's going on. This is, gone too far. I need you to go. And there's silver there that I have my retirement's there. And, my son told me to just leave. Don't help him. And I did it anyways. Because whatever, your children turn 18, you don't just kick them out of the nest. Anybody who's got kids might know that. I was his dad and mom as a single parent for 8 years, so I don't know how to do anything but be a dad. That's all I do. So I love the word more than my son, and he knows that. You might want to read Matthew 10:34 through 39. It is the backbone of this ministry. So until you can say that without reading it, because it's on your heart, he wrote it on the bride of the heart, on their hearts, that is continuously filled with wickedness. That's why I try to, minister this daily cross that's in his agape, this New Testament, this covenant where we're supposed to be meek, not weak. So I didn't strike anybody. They maimed me. They assaulted me. They assaulted my son. They assaulted my daughter, and they still haven't looked at the evidence 14 months later. As an Army veteran, I'm quite offended. I thought it was innocent until proven guilty. I still have the right of affirmative defense under the Fourth Amendment, be secure in my house's papers, persons, and effects. Houses, papers, persons, and effects. And they violated that by hitting me in the face with a grenade and grenading my son and daughter. My daughter was in there. I've not been the same since I knew they grenaded my daughter. So she's missing too. My son went missing back in September by their words. And then they said they saw him, but they wouldn't go get him. And there's something wrong here. And I think there's something nefarious, and I can't even get the cops to deal with it. So I always make evidence because I used to be one of these pigs. I don't like the way the system is not it's not even a constitutional republic anymore. So I'm not going to go into that. I'm trying to document evidence against Dave Vandenberg, a man who's supposed to be, a judge, have judgment, discernment, if you will, and has people's lives in his hands every day and is absolutely annihilated. He is liable 100%. If my son is dead, he is liable, because I told him to remove these no contact orders, and they would not go look for my son and threaten me, with giving me charges for breaking the no contact order because I'm not supposed to talk to him. And if they went there and talked to him to see if he's okay, I'm breaking my no contact order, and told me to stop using them as to do my dirty work. You would not believe what I got threatened with. And I still to this day have not been able to locate my son or daughter. I went there myself. I didn't care. I went there myself. I didn't get contact with him. I didn't, get the first time and found my daughter's car there, which my guy said he never talked to my son or daughter after they got arrested, after he picked them up. He wouldn't take their calls anymore. And then both their cars were there. And my son bought the car. He said he never talked to my daughter. He said that my daughter sold her the car. This was all a lie. And so I called law enforcement, said, this guy got my son and daughter. This is the guy who said, come bring him here and I'll hide him for you. I'm like, no, we're not hiding. We're going back to, we're here. We're not going, I'm saying he's not going back. He was here. So they're staying here. They're not going anywhere. Oh, I could take him here. You can bring him here and we could take him and they make $300 a day at the gold mine. I have all this documented. I told this to law enforcement. They're very aware that my son could be dead, kidnapped, lying in these caves that he has, or mines, gold mines, but they don't want to do anything about it. Chastise you love. Absolutely. Good stuff, man. Batman for Val. Hallelujah. Yes, he beats the people he loves the most. So, Matt, I apologize. So, yeah. No, look, don't worry about it at this point. They're like I said, I didn't contact him. I went there looking for him the first time because they won't do anything. And I have more concern once again, as I did for his well-being. And they came here and swatted the house. And I still have, under my Fourth Amendment, all my civil and criminal liability under my Fourth Amendment. I used to be one of these tyrants, and they are now. They don't enforce the constitutional republic law. They don't do this properly. They throw people. They'll throw you to try to, whatever. 98.5% of cases just plea out and don't fight it. Period. And Christ stood up to the law. So if you're not Christ-like, if you're not standing up to perverted law, that's what he did. He stood up to the halakha, which is a perversion of the translation from the original Torah into their Targum, their Mishnah, their Talmud, their halakha, their Haggadah, those words that I said earlier. I've studied this. I do. He said, call no man teacher, but I pastor this gospel daily here on this platform, this ministry, and I have, been studying for. He makes me do this. If I didn't call out to their hearts to seek after me, not one of them would. So I go by what his words say, and I'll let nobody defile it. He said, guard my commandments. If you love me, 2 John and 6, that's agape, walk and follow my commandments. So take up my cross. I'm going to suffer. Absolutely. Absolutely. I must be crucified because I will not do this perverted law that they have. It's a corporation in this country now. So I wasn't even under arrest. I wasn't even arrested under my capital letter name. I already went in open court and exercised my right of subrogation, took over that, power of attorney by power of attorney, that, capital letter Tracy, whatever. And that's not who I am. Okay. I put the court on notice of liability for all damages. I can use the Treasument calculator that has to go by the 1611 scripture, exactly by the scripture, by the Bible, to work, to kick out. I think we got an airplane flying right over the house. So that's a smaller one. And then it pays out. But again, I'm not looking for this, but this is how this is done. They have a whole different system set up. It's done by corporation. They're not even operating in a judicial capacity. And I know these things, but I'm still doing this. I still have a son that I care about. I still have to see Christ stood up against this perversion of the law, right? That's why his father birthed this flesh vessel to this perversion, how they were going after other deity, little g gods, right? Idolatry. As I said earlier, they made this translation of the word from the Torah to their Talmud, to their Aramaic, right? Most people don't study this. Father's blessed me with an abundance of what you call time, okay? And I've traded that instead of for money, I've traded it for bis, knowledge. He said, my people shall perish for lack of bis. So it is what it is, What can you do? You let Father beat the crap out of you. Like, what did Melody? I think that's, Batman said, Batman. Interesting. So I believe in the Constitution. It's a shame so many Americans don't. People have to follow it, though, Melody. The Constitution is something that we're given a right. Like, again, they violated my Fourth Amendment right to be secure in my house's papers, persons, and effects. Maybe if I was wrong. Well, what if it was wrong? It's not wrong. I have the right of affirmative defense under the Fourth Amendment to protect myself from illegal prosecution. And any of my actions would be excused. It's called excused defense. Justification defense. This is your right of Fourth Amendment. Under your Fourth Amendment, you have this right to protect yourself. All your actions in a case of Sixth Amendment right of trial, will be excused, justified, justification, excused, affirmative defense. That's what it's called. The legal description is self-defense under your Fourth Amendment right. Under be secure in your house, papers, persons, and effects. They violated that. So let's say I did make a mistake. They still hit me in the face with a grenade. Bam, they violated it, right? They lose all their immunity. Right there is loss. They have no sovereign, remember, the right of due process. They have to follow the law, and they have to go by this, and then they violated it right out the gate. So I'm more now concerned that I have a trial coming up in, weeks and a pretrial in days, and there's the appointed counsels quit, and I can't even go hire an attorney because there's one sitting on there that hasn't done anything, and he's going to be liable too. Paul Palmer, who doesn't even really exist as an attorney. No, I haven't represented myself. They try to get me to represent myself, but look, they have to appoint counsel. Remember, under your Fifth Amendment, your right of Miranda, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will do will be used against you, right? You have the right to an attorney. You have during counsel or during questioning. If you cannot afford counsel, one will be appointed to you. Now, I didn't have the land up here for sale or at the time, but I did. I put everything up for sale, and I, did what I could do, but nothing was selling, and I can only do so. I have to take appointed counsel. Like, they didn't even have a counsel for me, so my son's counsel had to represent me. Dismissed. That gets the case dismissed. Each defendant gets separate counsel. Remember that under your right of discovery, suppression of evidence, you get each one of your defendants' discovery, their evidence, and each defendant gets different counsel. My son's attorney represented me in open court 3 times. Dismissed. There's so many things in this case that would get it dismissed. Bam, come here and hit me in the face with a grenade. Bam, dismissed. As soon as somebody looked at that, they should have said, this guy can sue the hell out of us. We need to let this go. But they're used to railroading people. 98.5% of you take a plea agreement. You just let it give them to you deep. They stack charges on you, and they scare you, and they make you think that this man in this black robe is operating in a judicial capacity when he's not. Neither is that prosecuting or district attorney. He's a chief of finance, and he's working for your merchant number. So I know this, and they don't like that about me either, because this is the Constitution, right? No, they're not operating under this anymore. They're operating under old law, merchant law. It's called your Social Security number. It's a bond. They sell this on the stock exchange, okay? New York. You don't know it, but it's happening, and it's been happening for a long time. So don't act like this is new news. These absolute law scholars are absolute idiots. Difference between legal and lawful, by the way, okay? An ordinance and a mandate and a code, neither is it legal nor is it lawful. Well, hey, if it's for a corporation, see, this is all corporate law for a merchant law, because these people have been merchandised. That number has been taken away from them, and that's what they get. And when that judge slams that down, he's looking at that chief of finance, prosecuting attorney, district attorney, and he's the one who's making this all happen. Everybody works for the district attorney. Even your paid attorney works for him. Not your appointed counsel. Oh, no, he works for Tim, and so does the judge, because he's not even a judge. He's not even operating in a judicial capacity. It has to be in an Article 3 court. It has to be the original Title 18 statutes, adjudicated through the House, Congress, and Senate, or it says it is repugnant. And these Title 18 revised statutes were not gone through that judicial, legislative, or executive process, so they're not lawful nor are they legal. They're not constitutional. See, these are revised. This is when this is all changed to a corporation, Washington, D.C. It just, and whatever. It is what it is. I still have to think about my son. So, and he knows that. And that's why my son suffers. He's being targeted because of this mouth. And I can prove that. If any federal, and I don't want, whatever, they better drop this case or I'm going to sue the hell out of the feds, the state, and I don't care about suing. I didn't want to sue anybody. I wanted them to leave my son alone, stop fucking with them, because they were pissed at me because I was pointing out that they're corrupt. And so they came after my son and my daughter. I have proof. People around me have been targeted. I'm not even concerned that that's an issue. I document everything I do. I used to be one of these, triplicate in the military, law enforcement, they write your tickets, there's, okay. Anyways, moving on. they have to operate. They lose their. They can't. They have to operate by the law, brothers and sisters. They can't break the law. Although a cop has. Tell me, does anybody know anything about law enforcement? How an officer works under their what they call sovereign, or if they lose their immunity, their right to, they want to call it sovereign, but and they use that term. There's another term that's used as well, because it's all they're trying to do this. You have to admit on your driver's license to them, and you do if you go by this, that you're this capital letter name. It's attached to your social security number. It's attached to your driver's license. It's attached to your birth certificate. This is all part of this system that's been taken under this. When you get feed or fined or confined, this is where this money is being pulled from. And it's called your bond, okay? It's actually called your merchant number, but I want to go, it's not constitutional. So let me get back to this, because I need to make this, case about Dave Vandenberg and him reliable for the death of my son if he's dead and my daughter, because he didn't remove the no contact order back. We'll go over that some other time. I've done it over and over in here, and I'm not trying to even fight with them about this right now. I want them to drop these charges on all of us and let this go. And because they didn't drop the charges on or not even drop the charges, the no contact order on my son, they didn't go in there and look for my son. And now if my son is dead, Dave Vandenberg, I got to go face this guy in 2 days. Is going to what is he going to do? They do whatever they want, but I'm going to make sure this is documented, and that and I know that this is all being monitored, so they're going to have to step in sooner or later. So I've already told them the best thing to do already, long before they ever came out here, was don't bring men with guns out here. You got to have to look at the evidence, no matter what. If you think I'm wrong because I've not going to let you arrest my son, you have to look at the evidence. I even said it during the SWAT raid. My son, he was talking about the evidence. Everybody went with their hands up in the air. They shot my son with his hands in the air. They already had grenaded him and my daughter, then shot my son, grenaded me, hit me with 5 tear gas canisters inside this. And you can hear me. I'll go peacefully. I'm not fighting. I'm not resisting. None of that. None of that was happening. They came here to shut me up, quiet me, make sure this constitutionalist shuts the fuck up about apologize, Father. Apologize, you guys too. It's what comes out of us that defiles us, not what goes in us. So anyways, it's the only right that I have left. I've even been stripped of my Second Amendment right. I can't even take care of my animals. I've taken all the livestock off the property because I can't protect them. The only animals I have left here are my dogs, because cougar comes back after these dogs or something off the tree line. I'm going to be going after that cougar. My animals never lied, cheated, or stole from me, and they were in here and had to go through that. Imagine that concussion grenade coming, hit me in the face, and you have dog hearing, because they were in here too. What that had to sound like for my dogs, probably, there were baby kittens in here. 5 tear gas canisters in this cabin, and it was excessive force from the beginning. So I have them by their balls, and they're still going to try to do something stupid. I know it. And what can I do? I'm just going to have to put all my faith in Father and not have any fear. Be not anxious. Only fear the Lord, not who we can worry about, and who can take your flesh. Only who can take your flesh and your soul. So give me crack corn. I don't care. Can't serve 2 masters. I don't care about this corn nation, pretty much. The corn syrup nation. It's in everything. They put it in everything. Corn syrup. It should have one of them crossbones, skull, not, skull and bones, on it too. This stuff, but anyway, so moving on, I'm going to make sure I continue to document that Dave Vandenberg is liable. And so I don't, I think when I go to court this time, I'm going to give him the chance to drop the case, and I'm not going to be and I'm not going to be concerned about it, because every time I go there, I pray on it with Father. I talk to him. I pray daily throughout the day, and I pray all the time. No, not all the time, but I pray often with him. And I know every time he brings me back to the word, Luke 12:11. So I know that the attorney now it's been 12, 13, 14 months. Now imagine that. A year, 13 goes by, 14 months goes by. Now they're trying to bring me to trial. My son could be dead and my daughter could be dead. I stood against them arresting, my son, and they ended up arresting my daughter, which they shouldn't have done without a warrant. And they did release her charges because they knew they had screwed up. And I do believe that Dan Spencer, the attorney who represented me and my son, also represented my daughter. When I actually cornered him on that, he put in, paperwork to quit. But the judge never gave him the ability to quit. And so, but my son ended up missing. See, they did something. They knew they fucked this case up really bad. I apologize again for my cursing. Go watch. I didn't curse at all in this ministry ever. Thousands of hours, and only 2 weeks into them gang stalking me. The last time I told us, the cops were out here running over the end of the driveway pole out there. I have a large marker, and they were driving over it, and I knew it was them. They were here in the area. There was cops all around this place on every day or every week. Normally I have a kind of a regiment, and but I go on Tuesday to get tacos. You know what I'm saying? And they came over and ran over my property, and I have the forensic evidence. I did this as a law enforcement officer. That was what I did. My forte, I did multiple things, SWAT, but more what I was a reconstructionist. I went through the Highway Patrol Academy in Oklahoma City, and I did traffic crash reconstruction. So I pulled all the forensic, I pulled all the dimensions, the IDO, all the, the distance, and it was them. It was their crash bar that ran over my property, trying to intimidate me, gang stalk me. When I called the attorney and tried to let him know that, or through message, because he don't answer his phone, doesn't have a secretary, and his phone goes to voicemail, never heard of an attorney like that. He said that he quit because I told him he didn't do anything about my son being reported and he could be dead back then. He told me to stop threatening him because I told him I'm going to turn him into the bar if he didn't do something, and that I should go get a psychological medical evaluation if I'm so worried about the cops gang stalking me and running over my pole out here. Is what he said to me. This is what the attorney said. And now he hasn't quit. Now, is he going to show up there and hasn't said anything in 2 days? Man, I should have a massive protest there down at that courthouse. People support me. I ain't got nobody. Well, I got Kevin, so we'll see what they do. And I got Father, and I got Shiloh. So, hey, we're three's a crowd. Hallelujah. He's always with you. So he'll never leave you. It's a promise he won't. See, he destroyed the physical temple. He used to just visit one day a year as light, not even as a physical entity. So behind the veil, that's all been torn down. Now he's inside you, written on the blood of the Lamb, on fleshy tables of our hearts. Hallelujah. So Christ is with me. He'll be with me in there. He always is. He takes over when I get in there. I brought a couple witnesses. They're like, dude, you were this close to getting arrested, man. They were like that close to throwing you in jail. When I went there with Kevin, they're like, he doesn't have to come up on this witness. He doesn't have to come up on the stand, does he? So they don't like me, and that's okay. I'm not there to be liked. You're not here to be liked on this. You're supposed to, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. May the power of his might put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Paul knew it. He fulfilled that. Remember, we're under a spiritual gospel here, a spiritual testament, against principalities, right? For we wrestle against principalities, powers, the rulers of the darkness of this world. There it is, spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore I say unto you now twice, as he always declares, 2 witnesses, put on the whole armor of God. He'll cover me. Luke 12:11, oh, you be without counsel. They'll throw you in front of their magistrates, their men in their black robes and their synagogues. Do not what worry you will say. I will give you the answer. No, Jesus doesn't love everybody. That's blasphemy. Don't say that. That's quite the opposite. He loves just a little bit. He's an all-loving God, but he doesn't love everybody. So get your correction. That's, remember, he only loves his bride, and under the Old Testament, the wages of sin was death one. So good luck getting through the final judgments after that, squeezing through that gate. Theolobos, Paul said, Paul said thalipsis, excuse me, pardon me. Theolobos is the word to be pinched, because he's got a grip on you. He presses you down and beats you if he loves you. So he doesn't love everybody. He only loves his bride. He created mostly vessels of wrath. Most people go to hell. So take that, Judge Vandenberg, at your trial. federal government, because you got to sift through all this. Remember, right of due process, right of discovery, suppression of evidence. So they got to go through all the ministry. I already told them that every time I get interrupted, I try to do an evidentiary stream and I start teaching. Whatever it is, what it is, Father makes me do it. Or not, we say, guard my commandments. If you see somebody blaspheming the word, supposed to correct them with the word. See somebody in the broad way, show them to the narrow way. Hallelujah. So, yep, do not think that I came to bring peace. I came to bring a sword of division. He who loves the Father more than me is not worthy of me. He who loves anything more than me is not worthy of me. So wait till Shiloh comes back and pours out a just measure on all these people. Hallelujah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I seek no vengeance. I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I'm a dad that needs to locate my possibly dead son and daughter. So what would you do? If you already called the cops and told them, here's my possibly dead son and daughter, and they threatened you to put you in jail for breaking a no contact, or would you lose your mind? Now they're telling me I'm crazy to go get myself checked out because the cops are out here running over my property. And who do you report it when the cops are running over your property? I'm the crazy one, huh? All right, we'll see. I have a trial in like a week or something like that, and something, and they don't even have anything ready. They haven't even opened the case. Nothing's been done. Right of due process. Done. Speedy trial. Done. You know how many violations in this case? The Father's doing it. If you wrote a movie about it, you wouldn't even believe it. So either they're going to throw me in prison, kill me, and kidnap me here soon, or I'm going to come out and I'll be fine. And if I so choose to sue them, which I probably will do, because that's the only way I'm going to get them to be accountable. They won't investigate themselves and do anything. So you do have to file a civil lawsuit, which holds them criminally liable, which makes that I already know how to do this process. So I'm not foolish. I know how this law works. I've been trying to avoid any lawsuits from them and told them to drop the case now for 13 months. Even told them don't come out here with men with guns. So that's even my case. Now watch, my case is, don't bring men with guns here and try to kill me or shoot me or my son or my daughter. We have the evidence. You don't need to take my son to jail. He not only did the evidence, this community service that you say he didn't do, this work crew, road crew, he did it twice because you said he wouldn't do it. He did it again. And now you're still trying to throw him in prison. It's obviously you're targeting him. Leave him the fuck alone. I'm stepping in here. I don't give a motherfuck. I'm the law. Your fucking warrants are invalid. And I have this recorded. So, I didn't curse at anybody. Remember back then? No, there was no cursing. I didn't curse until 2 weeks into being gang stalked by the state police, literally driving onto my property, not driving on the access road, coming onto my property. And they drove over my property here just recently, and I have the forensics. Here's the print of the tire tread. This measures 3 feet. 3 feet from here to where the pole is at. So I get by their balls too. But I called the attorney. He wouldn't do anything about it. And now he tells me because they're doing this, the cops are doing this to me, that I need to go get my head checked. This is called gaslighting. This is called intimidation. This is called gang stalking. This is called targeting. This is called retribution. This county, I've already asked to be placed to put in witness protection. Here's where I pulled. They came back right back to the same location. Here's where I pulled. They came back right back to the same location. I don't believe this to be the same exact tire vehicle. Their vehicles can be obviously satellite tracking, and they all have duty phones, and they all probably have their personal phones, so they can be tracked to exactly where they're at. This isn't the same exact vehicle, but this showed me too. This gave me the print too. They drove right back to where, and then gang stalked me, watched me, looked at my house, tried to make me intimidated, came there and left their prints on my driveway out here, or the access road, or the other road I made out here, and were foolish enough to drive right back out here. Okay. Seek kelp? No, thank you. I'm not into kelp. I apologize. Apologize. That makes it lag out. So, anyways, so Dave Vandenberger will want to see it be criminal liable if anything has been happened to Adriana Massey or my son Elijah Werner, because I had documented in court every single time under discovery that I had told him to drop this no contact order, and that's why they refused me call for service. So he's liable. He needs to answer for that. Why they didn't go look for my daughter. They didn't go look for my son. And I told them that they definitely were potentially kidnapped, dead, raped. I made this very clear that there was a welfare check needed to be done on their bodies to make sure that they were not hurt. And they denied that call for service. So Josephine County will be going under investigation in this case too. I guarantee you. You know, and so will Paul Palmer. Why didn't Paul Palmer go over? Paul Palmer, who supposedly, this is what he said, because I don't believe this guy now, said he called the sheriff's Josephine County, where they called to threaten me, and said they couldn't do that, right? And that he called them and they wouldn't give him the transcripts of the phone call. The cops are not going to give this attorney the phone call? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And they supposedly know where my son is at now. And I caught 2 more felonies in this case because I cornered the Josh Bezel over here and said, you live in this town. You can do the investigation and you know where my son's at. You cops are aware of him. You're in on this. I know you are. And I got dirt on you. Instead of going out and doing your job, Josh, you're harassing people in this community, driving on their property, going in their houses when they tell you don't come in there. You're going in there anyways. And he turns out and files retaliatory charges against me, harassment charges against me, the same charges. Turns around and files retaliatory charges, menacing the police, and they files this restraining or this extreme risk order, and they came and filed a search warrant and took the 2 guns that I said that I had in here. Searched the whole property. They were disappointed they didn't find a whole stockpile of weapons, didn't they? No, I don't care about weapons. I don't care about that. I just to protect my animals, not me. I'm not worried about none of that. Anyway, so what a piece of shit Josh Bezel, what a tyrant pig he is, and I guarantee you Josh Bezel is going to prison. There's another cop that is definitely going to prison. Let me give you a little shot. If we lag out, I don't care. Let me give you a little shot of Josh Bezel. Here's a man that's going to spend a long time in jail if they ever look at the evidence in this case. If they ever looks at the evidence in this case, this cop is going to jail for a long time. And I've already told him, because he will see they'll do an investigation that he filed retaliatory charges and took my Second Amendment. And since then, I've not even had the right to protect myself, my animals, and I've had to totally change. I can't even have animals out here. So Josh Bezel is definitely going to go spend some time in a prison cell. Josh Bezel. And he filed retaliatory charges against me, and he filed retaliatory charges against me, and because I told him, you know where my son's at, and then he goes out and files retaliatory charges of harassment because I said you're harassing the public, and I got people that are witnessing you, Josh, harassing the. So all of them, they're all tyrants. So this case is about here. Just it starts with this, Sergeant Rourke too. We need to make this guy's retired. Sergeant Rourke is retired. He's not going to get away. Michael Taylor, they're not getting away from this. They're not getting away, or they're going to come kill me. They already tried to come out here and bring the state police out here to eliminate me. Shut me up. They stop talking about their corruption out here. Now I got to go face these tyrants in 2 days. Been injured in any way. Been injured in any way, shape, or form. This man is 100% liable. Get a good look at his face. This man took an oath. Correct? See his hand in the fucking air? Yeah, right. See that? Yeah, right. This man, this man is his judgment for people. He holds people's lives in his hands. Look at that. No, Father created all things. He's writing things, but you know, he's supposed to be going by the Constitution. He's supposed to be asserting his right of judgment, and he has very clouded judgment. I can prove that. He's allowed me to be counseled by my son's attorney in his courtroom multiple times. This guy obviously has no reason to be seated on the bench and should be removed immediately. The Fed should have already come out here and removed all these people out here for everything they've done out here. I'm not playing. This guy is violated his oath to even as he does the bar, you know, because that's who he works for. And I'm not afraid of him. He's just some fake clerk in a black robe. So I'm not intimidated by Dave Vanderberg. Not at all. So we'll see. Is he going to throw me in prison? Well, not prison. He's going to try to throw me in the county jail. Last time he was threatened to throw me in the county jail. Dude, you're nuts. You have fallen from grace. May God bless you. I'm not fallen from grace, you idiot. He stood against the law. You're an idiot, Batman. See, you don't know. Batman, tell me what halakha is. Tell me what halakha is. You know, they called Noah nuts too. Look at what he was doing. You know, look at some of the most obviously minds on this. So go ahead. Tell me what halakha is, Batman. Sounds Islamic. Get out of my chat. Never come back. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Thanks for your time. Don't ever come back here, Batman. This ain't some Batman, you know, kryptonite. And I'm not judging you by your cover because I want to look into the top of the Trump towers. One's Batman, one's Superman. Now leave. Don't come back ever again. Please don't click on here. Thanks for your time. You don't need to type anything. Go see what it is and come back some other time. Right? No, don't ever come back, please. Just don't ever click on the channel. I'm not here to be loved and liked by the world. So don't say anything. Don't be a brute beast. Don't be brutish in nature. You know, thanks for your time. I won't moderate you if you don't say anything. So goodbye. All right. So either way, Dave Vanderberg, you're going to prison. This case, you know, is against you. You had the chance to drop all the charges, at least at that time, long time ago, and I told you to drop the charges against the no contact order. And then when I called for service at Josephine County and said, hey, you need to go look for my son and daughter. This man may have be raping my daughter. Here's, you know, my retirement sitting there. I don't care about the medals. Here's a felony passport. He can't take that. You can get in contact with the feds. And they denied me call for service and threatened me with the no contact order. So 100% criminal in the case of Dave Vanderberg, the trial of Dave Vanderberg. We're doing it again because I did it yesterday. He will go to prison because he is liable if my son and daughter are dead. I told him this. The courts have been notified. The Josephine County's been notified. The council's been notified. I've made live streams about this, and they don't want to do anything. So thank you, Father, for being in control of all this and doing all this. It's not these men. You created them to do this. I'm not anxious. I know you're doing it. I'm not falling from grace. I'm not nuts. People are idiots. They don't have no idea what Christ did. And they hated Christ because he stood against the law. So you're not Christ-like unless you're standing against the law. You're some lollipop religious idiot. And thank you for your time. You can leave now too, unless you actually want to do something about what you hear. I don't need your comments or your time. This is an evidentiary stream. Once again, my right of discovery and suppression of evidence has been violated. They're about ready to try to take me to a 2-day trial before they ever brought SWAT team. And I have my son pleaded them too. Evidence will show Sam Birch did speak to my son, and my son said, don't bring men with guns out here. Don't come down this driveway with guns. And they still did it anyways and shot my son. Is that why they shot my son? Because he told them don't bring men down here. He did everything. He did everything he was supposed to do. He's a meek man. He's not. He made a mistake. He did what he did. He didn't, you know, he put his head down and he did what he was told, and he did it again. And I have all the proof of all this. And as his dad and as a constitutionalist, I still have, he has not violated anything. And if somehow he disappeared, which I don't know how he has any evidence to, or means to do that, he's not safe. And I knew where he was at, or at least my daughter's car was at. So I needed him to go look the police to check, at least make a check. And they didn't. Instead, they threatened me. And when I got a hold of the attorney, oh, okay. I'm just a nobody talking about somebody who saved my life. Now you're talking again. You're just a nobody talking about somebody who saved my life. You can't be saved. You're an idiot. You know that, Batman? I asked you not to speak up in here, and now I'm banning you from here because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. You have to endure to the end. I'll give you with this one last gem, you swine, you low energy swine. You have to endure to the end to be saved. You don't know what it means to be saved. You have to endure to the end. You didn't get saved. You're an idiot. I rebuke you. Get out of here. You're religious. Don't come back ever again. Goodbye. This is what brutish in nature means, brother, sister. Somebody's brutish. They don't want to learn. They don't want to listen. They have an unwillingness to learn, stubborn like a mule, act like an ass. So if you want to act like an ass, and here I'll point it out, that's what Christ would do. Do not partake in unfruitful works of darkness, show them to the light. So moving on. So Dave Vandenberg is criminally liable for the death of my son if he is, because he was notified. So if he died between these dates, like one of my daughters alive and my son's not, or my son's alive and my daughter's not, Dave Vandenberg's going to be held accountable no matter what, If not, a just measure be poured out when all of us pass and raise and rise from the dead and the ashes from the dust when this final trump sounds. So I don't seek vengeance on anybody. I haven't. No, every one of us have been, gone without resistance, and again, been maimed and assaulted and harassed and menaced and gaslighted. And somebody look at the evidence, they wouldn't believe this is a real thing that's happened to somebody. Targeting has happened. People are targeted by our, supposed community service and public servants. So in this case, Dave Vandenberg, just alone to have shows the judgment is very clouded to allow co-counsel in his courtroom. So I don't feel any threat of Dave Vandenberg or whatever they try to do me. They'll have to kill me, and that'll be Father making them kill me. And that'll suck. Like I said, if my son's dead, at least he ain't suffering, and I won't have to suffer. My animals are going to have to deal with it, which I don't want them to suffer. So they've already suffered too. And they have some emotional detachment, because we've lived out in the country and been employed, for myself, and a farmer, and they've been around me. Well, they live most of their life, on a farm, a lot of property, and they don't do well when I'm gone. So, and they've already suffered enough. The one, the dog, the guy that's now, I think hurt my, son. Why would I think that? Because he fucking destroyed my dog. When I got him back, he was in horrible, deplorable condition. I should have took some pictures of him. I just couldn't do it. I just nurtured him and loved him and missed him so much because I just tried to get him back from this guy for months, and he wouldn't even give my dog back to me, man. What a horrible, horrible thing to do to somebody after getting thrown in jail to try to help their son, to take their fucking dog from him, man. What a cruel, cruel thing. And then he came back in just deplorable condition. So, but that's Father doing it once again. He creates these people to do these things. So I got to continue to be meek out here. And again, I just want to try to document on this live stream. I'm not going to do this forever because I've done multiples. I just got to get it off my chest that, hey, this man is liable for my son, and if he's dead, then so be it. If my daughter's still be it, but I got to get an answer here. I'm having every day. It's harder to get up and do that, endure to the end to be saved, because man, you want to know where your kids are at. If you think that they're dead or they looking over their shoulders, I did all this so they wouldn't have to look over their shoulder and have to worry about it and get it taken care of. Let's get it done now. And it's been 14 months, man, and nothing is even the case file hasn't even opened up. What a disgusting, filthy country this country's become. I hate America. The nation is just a filthy. I was a tyrant veteran, served this beast system, and I can speak up. I have that right under the First Amendment, so I can say that. there's other countries, besides America. But if you live in America, you just have a very narrow field of vision, like a horse with blinders on. So, um, well, we're getting lots of flybys today, boys. That one sounds like an older one. Hold on here, I don't see that. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, it's just nice out there. It's nice out there. So, but okay. I know, Father, it's my only protection in there. And no matter what happens to me come Monday, I'm not worried about it. He's got the wheel. He's steering this. He is the most high. He's the commander of my ship, and the vessel. And I just want to make it very clear that they're going to try to. I live streamed for 17 days, and I have all the years of documentation that they'd have to look through before on this case to actually bring me to trial under my right of adequate counsel, my right to fair and speedy trial, my right to due process, and my right of discovery, and to call witness in my favor. So under that discovery evidence, they can't limit me on my evidence. And so if I live stream for 17 days pleading them, don't bring guns, don't bring SWAT team here, don't shoot me, don't hurt my son, don't hurt my daughter, don't hurt my animals, and they did it anyways, then the jury's going to have to look at all the video footage of me pleading to them, here's all the evidence why you don't need to bring the guns to my house. And that means that everybody I was talking about on those 17 days of live streaming is going to have to call the witness too. So it's not just 17 days of live streaming that they have to go through. It's all the people. See, they're trying to railroad me and just put me through on a 2-day true trial, guys. They tried to do that with my son, and he didn't show up to his trial. And actually, they said he went missing back in September, and his trial wasn't until December. Why'd they even have a trial for him if he went missing in September? And they summons to me his trial as a witness in November. But he went missing back in September. This whole case is a wash. I think my son's dead. And I've been pleading that to everybody. Anybody that'll listen to me. Nobody hears me, but it's okay. At least I went down talking and didn't, I said I would fight to the death to keep my son from going to prison. And I made it very clear for those 17 days that I was not going to ever use a weapon to do it. I was going to use my mouth. I was going to use the right of the Constitution. And we had that affirmative defense right under the Fourth Amendment. So both of us, it didn't matter, even Adriana. That's why they dropped her charges, because they illegally kidnapped my daughter. So I think because they kidnapped my daughter and they figured it out, and because this whole illegal arrest of my son, and they did something, and they're and they can't do anything to me actually legally, because I was not arrested under the capital letter name of Tracy Werner. So there's a lot to be discovered here. If the feds ever looked at this, if some other country, I've asked for asylum. I've sought out over the whole world, because this is a worldwide ministry. Some other country, please come get me my animals. Please come help me. Come get Kevin. He's all involved in this too now. He just came here because I'm his pastor, and he follows this ministry and has for years. He's actually known the channel and watched me back in the days and on Truth Viral Television, 10 years ago. And his brother knows of me for, a dozen years, and watched the channel, and America Ever After, the multiple times I've done this for a dozen years, and they don't like people like me. They don't like constitutionalists. They don't like bloggers that expose truth. When you bring truth, it's going to come with some suffering. So I know that. Didn't think it ever was. I don't care what they do to me. I just am more concerned for my son's well-being now, and my safety, and now holding these people accountable. I have to endure to the end. So I want to see this judge go to prison, because he would be then held accountable on the evidence. I just want the evidence to get looked at. That's all I've ever asked. In this case, communication, somebody look at the evidence. That's what I was pleading while being SWAT rated, shot at. I still kept my bearing. They hit me in the face with a grenade, and I still said, "Hey, look at the evidence." Before they hit me at the thing, I was like, "Hey, look at the evidence. Somebody communicate with me the whole time. Somebody talk to me, please. Somebody, please. Somebody help my son here. I'm trying to do everything I can." I did it for 17 days, 2 weeks straight, plus 3 more days. I started cussing after that 2 weeks and getting a little loose, and I knew they were coming, man. I've been a SWAT team member. I've done this. I knew it was any day, and I was telling my son that every day, man. Please don't fight these people, son. I know you don't want to go to prison. You don't want to do this, but we've got to let God use us as a vessel, son. Remember the thief on the cross? We don't know. It could be at that last moment. You'll be with my Father in heaven. He gets to be the condemner. He gets to be like thieves on the cross. So we got to remember these things. Okay. Don't fight these people. They will kill you dead. They are coming for Dad. They want me dead. They don't have any bone with you. They're just fucking with you because they don't like me. And son, I apologize so much. I know you didn't want to be around me for these years, and because you get attacked, because it's being around me. So I got to document this, man. Dave Vandenberg is liable for my son's. I pleaded with him 5 or 6 times in open court. Drop this no contact order. You have no reason. This criminal conspiracy charge, it's bullshit. You just separated me from my son. Okay, but my daughter from her fucking husband, you're out of your minds. Drop these no contact orders. If you would drop all of them, it's bogus. I have the thing. And he didn't. And because he didn't, I got threatened with getting thrown in jail because I was going to break a no contact order because I wanted to find out if my daughter had been raped and my son had been killed and been kidnapped. And I got threatened. So we need to make documentation. You guys got to keep this going. I got a court date, and I don't know what's coming, and don't worry about it. Whatever Father is, but got to keep this going. Don't let Elijah nobody has a voice for him. His own mom won't do anything. His stepdad, nobody's helping him. His nana, his pop, none of his supposed blood, people who he's got aunts, uncles, they all got money coming out their ass. Could easily have taken care of this long ago. And this ain't about money, but I'm just saying somebody could have reached out to help him, and nobody's there. So nobody's the voice for Elijah Werner. Nobody's the voice for Adriana Massey. I've not been contacted by Adriana's family going, "Hey, Adriana's okay. You can't have contact with her, but we can let you know she's okay." No, they don't fucking give a shit about her either. I don't know. Nobody's ever contacted me. So I've got to keep advocating for Elijah. And, like I said, I have a court date. And if I just disappear from here, you guys probably know they just snatched me up. I've already asked for another country to come get me out of here. I've already asked to be put in witness protection. I've already asked for this well-being and knowing that I could be harmed again. Imagine what it's like to be a dad, have to call the cops on your son, and pleading with the cops. Please don't shoot my son. You guys already shot him. Please don't shoot, don't go, you don't harm my daughter. They'd already caused harm to my daughter and my son. I didn't even know they had grenaded my son and daughter at that point. I'm a changed man after that. I cannot believe they came with so excessive force. So if the case gets looked at and it doesn't get swept under the rug, I think this would be one of the largest cases ever in the state of Oregon. It will take everybody from the judge down. There are people who have retired in this case because the case is that old, and they just keep pushing it to the, down the road. And now it's, like I said, it's just a matter of life or death. And I've made that very clear, and they won't step in, neither with the council, neither with law enforcement. So I face this judge in 2 days, and he does not like me at all. And once I step into his, I have to. I can't have a warrant for my arrest. I get arrested and thrown in jail. I can't help my son now. I can advocate for better on the outside than I can on the inside. So if Father puts me in there, then it's my time. It is what it is. But now I'm facing more time than my son even originally was. This is out of control. And but I'm trying to keep the know that Father's the one steering it. It's not me. I got to just keep doing what Father wants me to do. Be strong. Do not. Hold on, what's going on here? Okay, so yeah, I just know that if anything happens to me, I can't worry about it. Do worry not who can take your flesh. Oh, I gotta clean that up. Only worry who could take your flesh and your soul. Why is that so? That just is what it is. So, what can I do? I can just keep documenting it and do what I can do until I can't document it anymore. So I'm going to do what Father has me to do. He stood up to the law, and because he gave me this ability and know how to create discovery, that's all I'm going to keep doing. You know, they've locked me up a couple times now. I've just been assaulted and beat down, but I'm just keep bouncing back up. And so, but I do want to make sure that somebody's ears hears it, and that it does not, if nobody hears it, that it does go into the cloud, if you will. This is documented. It's really hard to take something down once it's gone out on YouTube. So it becomes discovery, and the NSA and all these people have all this anyways, all documented. You can't run from your phones. You're not gonna, it's called cellular data. It's all up to date. They have all of it. You put, you know, something in your search bar and you back, it's there. It's not, it's always being captured. So I know that, and knowing that they have the tech, you know, a godlike tech, they can almost tell what you're thinking inside you, because that's where he's at. But I have to make sure that I am 100% documented that Dave Vandenberg is liable for the death or injury of my son or my daughter from the day that I told him to drop and dismiss the charges of the no contact order. That wasn't done, and that's when they denied me that call for service, which is a crime. So I will be documenting that Josephine County again, and I don't know why that Paul Palmer, the supposed appointed counsel, did not go over Josephine County and did not get a hold of the federal government, because I told him my passport was there, which is a federal crime. So I've never once heard from the feds. Never once did they call me about that passport. And so I went back months later to where my son was at, or my daughter's car, where I found my daughter. He said he wasn't there, but ended up that was the county he was in. It's because I think he had been kidnapped. Now, I couldn't figure out how could this guy have something over my son. Well, my son got grenaded as well as my daughter did too. They think they should have been taken to the county, you know, hospital and looked at and checked at. So for the sake of for liability law enforcement, you know, and they didn't bring me in, and they hit me in the face with a grenade, but they hauled everybody to jail. So Dave Vandenberg is liable for this. He looked through the thing, through the police reporter. Did he even look through the discovery? You know, no, nobody's ever looked through the discovery in this case. Nobody's ever looked into the case. That's a right, a failure of due process. So they lost their immunity in this case when they hit me in the face with a grenade, and they lost their immunity in this case when they hit Elijah. So they thought they had something, but you can't come with excessive force. So I'll beat the case no matter what, even if they do throw me in this 2-day trial, think they can railroad me, and I don't know what, throw me in the county jail and try to, I don't know what kind of prison sentence they would try to give me for whatever, but it's not, they're not going to do that. They can't do that. And I think what is going to happen is they're going to have to drop this case. And I'll be so delighted, brothers, sisters. There'll be no more F-bombs in this channel. And that doesn't make it right that I drop them now. Okay. And I'll clean my act up in here, and we'll go back. We'll get more focus. I won't stop standing against this beast system, but I think I'll have a lot more. I just need to know that my son is okay. He's alive. He's dead. My daughter's okay. She's alive. She's dead. And I should be able to have some kind of information. Now, he's missing, but, you know, my daughter, I did find out from Paul, but I don't even realize or believe that now to be true, that they dropped the charges on my daughter in September. So that, I think that's another smoke and mirrors. Like, my son went missing back in September, but he was actually in open court in October. See, that's a lie. I had the state troopers lie to my face, tell me my son went missing in September when he was in court in October. Guys, something's terribly wrong in this case, you know, so I have to document it. And I apologize that I'm bogging down the ministry with this, but I'm reaching this next court date that's coming up, and I'm trying to do the best. And, you know, um, them here or me waking up, I got hit in the face with a grenade. That's excessive force, and they're not going to get away with that. And if they get away with it in this lifetime, Father will pour out a just measure on all these men. Remember, there's 30 men with guns out here. They want to take me to trial. How would Judge Vandenberg even allow that? So I'll make something, and now I think that's all they try to do. They won't let me talk in court, and how would they? The attorney hasn't even represented me. There's no witnesses. They'd have to have every witness that I'd call for. I want to see my witness list. They still have a jury to pick. They still have. They're so far behind. So, like I said, I feel like they're going to try to do something nefarious to me here in the next couple of days. So, if you do see this channel go down, it's I don't know. Kevin will come back up. I don't know. I'll figure out how to. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'll be okay. That's what I'll do. I'll be all right. I know how to. I'll take care of that. But Kevin will update you if something happens. Okay, he'll let you know unless Kevin disappears too. So that's. I really wish I had more people there to witness what's about to happen here. So they are going to try to railroad me like they tried to railroad my son, and I know that because they only had me going for a 2-day trial, and I'd live streamed for 17 days pleading them don't bring men with guns, and instead they brought, probably one of the largest, they brought, I think there were at least 3 armored vehicles out here. They came hard, and and they weren't playing, and they bragged about it up at the local restaurant that there was some constitutionalists and they were going to have a gunfight, so they fucked up. So yep, there it comes with your same thing every time there, Nick. Your puke, you know that? So thanks for being puke. This first time, look at Nick Morgan, he says the same time. So pretty sad. My dad is dead. He's not here anymore. So he's been gone. I've been alive about as long as my dad has been alive or dead. We're getting pretty close to that time, and because I'm getting older. So I live a lot more years than my dad has. So whatever they do to this old man here, it's because Father wanted it. My day of death is already written. Nobody can do anything to me that Father hasn't already written. So I fear no man. And I'm thankful for that, so that I don't seek vengeance and don't try to, just have faith, stand in the word. When Father's ready, if he wants me to know when my son's at, I'll know. But that's why I do these things, because when he's ready, I'll hear it. I've had people tell me that they're going to give me my son back if I Venmo him, and that they're having their way with my daughter. People are cruel on the internet, man. People are like just savages. So what do you expect? It's the internet, right? So people just troll and just get a good time, wax on, wax off people's pain. So it's like some S&M stuff going on the internet. Try to make everything brutal and everything sick and disgusting. So, but that's okay. We got to use discernment. And once again, I know my son is a good dude, and if he wasn't a good man, I wouldn't stand up for him. And he do the crime, he do the time, and he did, and then he did it. He's the only one to actually go to jail. So, I just want to make you guys make note. Somebody hears it. Once again, Dave Vandenberg is criminally liable if something was happened to my son, because I had told him multiple in open court, drop this no contact order. It's over the top. You guys were excessive already. And now that the cops wouldn't go look for him, it didn't really hit me until that day that wait a minute, he's liable, because if he would have dropped that no contact order, they would have went and looked for my son, and then they would have had him, and they could have put him in jail because they had a warrant for his arrest. That's not right. That's not right. I'm telling you, that's not right. That's not right. Think about that. They had a warrant for his arrest. I told them to go get him, and they didn't go get him. It doesn't make any sense either, guys. It doesn't make any sense. Think about that. That makes no sense. No sense at all. And so it's like, whoa, really? So isn't that crazy? It'll be all right. So found some taffy yesterday, a piece of taffy. It was back in the back in the saltwater taffy, and I don't want to eat sugar, but Well, that's cold. I found a chocolate one. But I was pulling out some of my. I'm glad we made it through yesterday without a large event. Seems like they could have done something, you know. So I'm glad we pulled through the pagan 4th of July ritual, celebrate of the corporation. So, anyways, I was pulling out some of my supplies. I was in the shelter. I was like, what was that? I seen some taffy. It was from some of the stuff that I was when I was freeze drying. And there was some more of them in a bag that I saw. I normally eat candy, but I was like, oh, a chocolate one. So I thought, I didn't even see it was there. But anyways, I need to document this though, you know. No matter what happens to Elijah, no whatever happens to me, no whatever happens to Adrian, it's already been written. I'm just struggling in my flesh because I don't want it to be my will. I want it to be Father's will. His agape. I want to follow his will, not my own. I don't want to follow Elijah's will, not my own. I want to follow Adrian's will. I want to follow my own, right? I want to follow his. I want to follow Father's will, not my own. So that's what I'm hoping, that when this all gets ironed out, that it was not any of my will. Thy kingdom come, Father's will be done. Thy kingdom come is when it may get settled and ironed out too. That's what's crazy. Might just have to stand for a long time in suffering and a long time in faith, because repentance, salvation, baptism, forgiveness, it's a process. There are certain things that Father requires to make these things possible. So he'll pour out a just measure on this case, no matter what, but I do need to document that I'm very alarmed that Dave Vandenberg was the one who held that no contact order. And I just can't get over the fact that if he would have not kept this no contact order in place, I never would have been threatened with breaking the law for a third party no contact order, and they would have went and maybe found Adriana that day too, not just Elijah. They would have went there. They would have had no reason not to go there. They said they wouldn't go there because there was a no contact order, and I was using the police department to have contact with my son to figure out if he was okay or not. I'm like, yeah, no, Sherlock. I didn't say that to him, but they treated me brutal right out the gate because they knew I was a constitutionalist. Yeah, obviously I have some, it's on the, marked on their whatever, but I thought that was a completely different county. Like, how could this be? Because they're involved in this, obviously. So, man, I'm glad I know Father's in control, because I'm a bit concerned about what's coming up. So Kevin thinks they're going to try to throw me in some mental something and remand me to the courts because they don't have any other options at this point. Try to give me some psychological evaluation, because that's what Paul Palmer said. He thinks Paul Palmer's going to show up and said, hey, this guy he can't get along with anybody. He needs a psychological evaluation, and try to remand me to the courts. So all for speaking up about trying not to let him arrest my son, huh? Wow. Father's weaving an amazing thing here that I would never even. It's unbelievable. So unbelievable. I feel like if no matter what, guys, I can just get some kind of answer about Elijah or Adriana, about their well-being and that they're not suffering, because they're either both on the run or they're both not, and they're both dead. I don't want that life for them. They're an excellent couple. They read the Word of God together. They're quiet. Lived right up next to somebody in a duplex for years. Never have no noise complaints. And my son does those tuner cars too. He does those burp, 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 burp cars, and he's good enough not to do that around his house, enough to piss off any neighbors or nothing. He goes in and does it outside the house, and has places too. He goes mobile, does it mobile. He makes, but 4 years, he ain't getting no trouble or nothing. He is this over a freaking, supposedly a technical error of his probation. They said he didn't do, which we know he did. There's no way they said he couldn't do it. He did it with 5 other people. There's not only witness, but there's, that he did it, and they all had cellular phones and all that. This is ridiculous. But you got to remember, guys, most of the time they're used to walking on people, throwing the book at them, and people fold. 98.5% of people take a plea agreement in America. So this is how the American courts work. It's set up for you to take that plea agreement. You'll take some kind of charge, way lesser charge. They'll make it sound sweet. That's what they told me through Paul Palmer. Look, this is what a chicken shit Paul Palmer is. I'm talking to the guy for probably 15 to 20 minutes about something I remember. And he brings up the fact that he says, oh, hey, are you selling land? He asked me this question. He could have told me from the beginning. See, this is what a bunch of bullshit attorney this guy is. From the very beginning, he says to me, nothing. Talks to me, or I'm talking to him for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I think he responds back to me a couple times or whatever. Then he says in conversation, like very lightly, right? Like, oh, hey, are you selling your land? And he thinks it's this land. He thinks it's the land I'm on. He doesn't know that I have, at the time I had 65 acres of land out here. I sold some land, but I said, yeah, because he thinks it's this land, this puke Paul Palmer, who I want to go to prison too. I want to find out who he is, if he's a Fed, if he's a Mossad, or what the hell he is. I don't know who he is. He's not an attorney. He has a bar, but he's not no damn attorney. He doesn't give me any counsel. So again, no conversation about anything in this case. I'm talking to him, and then he says, hey, are you selling your land? I said, yeah. And he said, oh, well, hey, I was down there at the courthouse, and I spoke with Paul, because I was telling him I wanted to have a meeting with Paul and sit down and look at the case. And he said, oh, well, he said he'll make you a sweetheart deal if you get out of town. But you got to leave. You got to move. You got to get out of town. We'll give you a sweetheart deal. And I already told that clown from the beginning. I said to his face, the very first time that I talked to him, I said, look, if you ever say the words to me, plea agreement or plea bargain, you're fired. Now, I can't fire you, you idiot. Don't be like Bill Studenberg and go in open court and say, he wants me to fire him. I can't fire somebody I haven't paid for. You're appointed counsel. I can tell you to remove yourself as counsel. Don't be an idiot, Paul. I'm letting you know from the beginning. If you ever say those words, we're going to trial. So you know. We're going to trial. And I told him from the beginning, this ain't no 2-day trial. So this guy has let this run all the way up until like a week from now where I have a trial and they got a 2-day trial, which they can't do that because I have thousands of hours of discovery in this case. There were people who were calling both these police departments from all over the world. So that means you're going to have to look up these IP addresses and the district attorney that I wanted to have a meeting with that's not even there anymore. So he says to me, you want to are you selling your land? This guy is an absolute criminal as well. So I'm going to find out too who Paul Palmer is. Is this guy going to have the balls to show up and to act as my counsel? He's not. See, when he shows up, if they got something planned, I know, because if I fired him right there, they're going to say, hey, you're out of control. We're going to arrest you. Or we're going to medically, demand you under medical, and hold you on medical. I think that's what Kevin said they think they're going to try to do. He says, I don't think they have any other option at this point, Tracy. They know they can't railroad you. But he's the one who set it up in his in his message to you. Oh, if you're worried about the cops running over your property, Tracy, well then go get a psychological mental evaluation. If you're that distressed, stop threatening that you're going to contact the bar about me not going and finding out about your son being dead. Don't threaten me. I have an obligation to the bar. I quit. I'm breaking contact with you. I'm not your attorney. I'll contact the courts. And then he has done nothing since like 2 months ago. No contact, no nothing. He hasn't given me any counsel. So will he show up on Monday to the courthouse? Will he show up and try to be acting as my counsel? So this isn't a really, like I said, my well-being and my safety is in jeopardy here, guys. So, and so is my animals. And so is Kevin's, because he's going to go there and be a witness with me. So who knows what Father's going to do? He has absolutely beat the living crap out of me in this case. I can't say that he's made it easy at all. It's just been an absolute nightmare the whole time. Imagine you locate where your son's at, and then you call the cops and your daughter, and they won't go get him. But you got to actually call the cops on your son, which they already shot him. And imagine me, I'm sitting with your father going, "Are you serious, Father? You're going to make me call the cops on my son for his well-being? That that I don't want to call the cops. I don't want to, but I have to do this for his wife, and they already kidnapped her. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I gotta make sure I keep documenting that this judge is liable, because if he would have dropped the no contact order, they would have gone out and would have been able to arrest my son that day, right? Why wouldn't they go get him anyways, right? If they knew he was in that county, and I said, here's where he's at, why wouldn't they go get him? They had an arrest warrant for him. That makes sense that he's not alive. They must know something, and they're trying to cover it up. And it's the law enforcement that's covering it up, because the law enforcement won't even give the attorney the phone call of them threatening me, hey, you're breaking a no contact order. If we go over there to find out if your son's dead or not, there's a no contact order. Quit calling us to do your dirty work, man. Like, are you serious? So I called the attorney, told him, he's like, they can't do that to you. I'll call. Oh, they won't give me the transcripts. Doesn't do anything since then. So my son's still potentially dead, laying. And then I tell him, dude, I'm going to call the bar. You're not doing it. Hey, I quit. He tells me, I quit. Quit threatening me. I have an obligation to the courts. You're threatening me. You need to go get a psychological mental evaluation. If the cops are over there running your property and you're that distressed about it, go get yourself checked into a loony bin. Go get looked at. I'm like, oh, wow. So pull it all, anything. I'll listen to the devil's advocate, if you will, just to whatever people throwing anything, They hate me both. They both disappeared. They were putting in witness protection against me. I don't fucking know. I'll listen to anything. I'm not a danger. Remember, I didn't shoot anybody. I mean, I'm a veteran, but these are years and years ago. I'm a minor child. Okay. But anyways, let's move on. What's your theory? Because I'll listen to anything at this point, man. I need somebody to find out where my son and daughter are at, man. I'm dying inside, guys. I'm just every day I'm in pain, and I'm struggling because of the physical damage they've done to my body. It's harder and harder every day to wake up. I almost died the other day of respiratory failure. My lungs. That's why I won't lay down for more than 3 hours now. They've literally ruined my life. I can't lay down in fear that I'm going to die. I mean, I don't worry about it, but I clog up. I don't do it because I literally fill up with the fluid from the tear gas. So I had EMS in here earlier. She was in here. She bounced in for a minute. She's probably gone, but she mentioned something that she thought maybe I might have some serine or something in my from the gas or something that could have done to my lungs or something. But I know it's been a struggle with the stroke and the bleeding in my face and my head, and think there might be some clotting up in my head, some clotting, and so I need to get looked at one day, because I know that if I keep laying down at night, I'm going to wake up and I won't be able to breathe because I just get too much fluid in my lungs. So it's a fight every day and every night to try to keep. If I'm standing up, it passes, and it's better sometimes than others, but it does kind of a 2-day, or twice a day thing where I start getting raspy, and it starts getting, it just starts filling up with fluid from the tear gas. So, again, they maimed me, they've maimed, they hit my son, definitely shot him. I don't know where the bullets hit him. And I don't even know if they hit him, to be honest. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. And I know he is alive because he was in jail. So, I'd only seen him, and he didn't look good. And I could just see a little slot through the little flap or whatever, and just barely catch him to the way corner, and just barely caught a little glimpse of his face. And one guy was in there saying he wasn't eating food or nothing, and he was all. So, well, of course, he just got fucking grenaded. I didn't know that. I didn't know my son got grenaded. I'm going to sew their asses in a sling, guys. And if I actually had any real counsel, this thing would be taken care of. But I can't even hire an attorney. I called attorneys. They're like, there's an attorney sitting on the case, and we can't, they can't have dual counsel, for the attorney. So he needs to, and I called the courts, and he said he's going to quit, and he didn't quit. I mean, this is unbelievable. So Dave Vandenberg's going to go to prison, because if something happened to my son between the time where they knew where he was at, and he's not alive now, or something happened to him, he's liable. They should have went there that day, not denied call for service. They should have went to go at least get my passport. I can't even leave the country. I want out of the United States. I don't have any more rights. I'll deal with this in another country if they'll allow me asylum. I've already asked for asylum in another country. I already asked to be put in a witness protection. I already asked for my son, if that's possible, my daughter, because the law enforcement is absolutely crooked. And that's this case. It's targeting. It's targeting by the judge in this case. And I got to go face this guy in 2 days. So, no, everybody's so upright. Judges never get disbarred. District attorneys are always doing their job. Nobody's ever, Elsa, if you need to ask a question, ask a question. You're trying to ask me a question? You can ask a question. You need to ask me a question, else I can't give you. I'll give you the word is what I'll do. Try to bounce some scripture off you. So, man, this camera is sucking today. That's a little. Hey, that's a little better. Hey, give me a minute here, guys. I feel like I want to go hard boil some eggs. Hard boil some eggs. I love eggs. Get your question up there. I'll come back here in just a minute, and I'll get you all check back if you throw something up on the screen there also. Man, the stream is getting crushed. So I'm not going to keep going forever. I'll come back up here, but I want to try to answer else questions. I'm going to get some ice going. Get some ice in the desert. So I want to make some eggs and ice bath them so they peel easy. Container. That'll be fine. Nice, baby. Ding, 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 ding. All right, ice is going. for a chat. Chat filter. It's my chat so pretty. Huh. And I can't get this chat to work properly. Beep. Oh, there was the low warning on the solar power. We got a little spike in the solar. Are you off the grid? Get off the grid. Get off the grid. All right. Hey, I got to go get some my eggs here. 1 second. Get my eggs going. I love eggs. Oh, fresh eggs up there. else we got here? Okay. Yeah, the old Babylonian brain waves. The old muskrat, huh? How about that? Is he in on that too? Is he an island boy? Speaking of Elon, are they all island boys? Island boy, yeah, the island boys. So we're making ice cubes for the for my eggs. Just want some hard-boiled eggs. Yeah, when you decorate your house with Satan, you're not definitely. Yeah, I don't know. Can you make it any more? Hey, Abba Donald John. Abba Donald, Mr. McScrooge, Mr. Moneybags. Remember, baby. Woo! People tell you you're crazy if you don't follow the train. You don't get on the train. Come on, ride that train. No, ride it. Come on, ride that train. Oh, what are they? I need these. I need this here. I'm trying to steal the ice, and I need to hot my drink. I got plenty of ice. I got this ice in my cup. Oh, I got this ice in my cup. Okay, so I can't make it all about this. I will do this on a separate stream. I'll come back here in a minute. So, all right. And before I go, under right of discovery and suppression, it's, you have the right to fair and speedy trial under your Sixth Amendment, and in that trial, you have the right to bring, discovery to witness being either, you got evidence of body cam, you got evidence of an officer, you're calling a witness, you're calling paper, you have that right. They can't limit that. And they're trying to have me on a 2-day trial. So it's not going to happen. And I want to make it very clear that I did live stream for 17 days, asking them not to SWAT this house and asking them to communicate with me. So at least in my trial, the jury would have to look at, those 17 days, and then all the people that I was talking about during those 17 days of, 258 hours or something of live streaming, all the people that I was calling in question will have to be called into discovery. So there's no way they could take me to no 2-day trial, and they're just trying to railroad me. And, I got to make documentation of it. Got to make that discovery. That's what this is it's evidence that this trial, that if the judge allowed this, that he's obviously, I've already called for a change of venue because of judicial bias in this case. The way they've, they're not, due process has been failed, the right of due process. They haven't even done the case properly. That my son's attorney represented me. You can't do that in open court. And so, they're banking on 98.5% of cases taking a plea agreement, but I'm not that guy. So they don't know what to do in this case. I know that they don't know what to do. And so they're kind of backed into a corner. So I think they got two options: kill me, get rid of me, or try to throw me in and say that I'm nuts or something, you know, kind of loony bin or something, you know. Yeah, okay, you knew he was an island boy. Good. Man, this sucks. I can't get my thing. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. They're all in on it. So you didn't need somebody to guide you to that one, huh? That was pretty obvious, huh? I can't tell it. You guys are out of your minds. They already was on the Lolita, you know, the whatever that. It's okay. People aren't going to get it. They love their poly, meaning many. Tick, you know, meaning bloodsucker. Politicians, many bloodsuckers. So the politics. They love their, you know, so the red team, blue team, Democrat, red blood kid. They love to lick the lollipop, red, you know, the red lollipop or the Astro Pop. You know, Donald's got him licking the Astro Pop. You know, the space balls or farce or whatever. They're Star Stinky Muskrat Link, whatever. They're all linked together. They're all in bed together. It's the missing link that they're, yeah, kind of like they're going to looking for the God particle. My, you know what? So. Anyways, all right. So I got to make that clear, guys. I don't want to make this a whole thing, but you know they're trying to suppress. Ryan Solberg's got to be there. You know, Officer Black, Sheriff Dumar, all those people proving that Elijah didn't do all those hours from Lane County. You know, I need, I need my son there. You know, this whole case is about my son. How is it they think they could take me to a trial about my son? I'm jumping the evidence, so you won't allow me to arrest. I won't allow you to arrest my son, and my son doesn't even show up to my trial. That's how crooked these fucking people are out here. If they try to do that, they're idiots. But I think they're backed into a corner, and they're going to try to do something really stupid to me, guys. I do 100%. I have Father, and I know he says, worry about not who can take your flesh, only worry about who's going to take your flesh and their soul. But I think they're going to try to overtake my flesh again, guys. So we'll see. Time will tell, you know. If Father wants that, then they did it, and it is whatever it is. But I don't get them all right, and that would be a blessing to let them come back and say, hey, see, Father's going to do what he's going to do. I don't get them all right, and so. But it's bummer thinking that my animals would suffer again, and you know, and I don't know. I don't know if they'd ever pick me up again, if they'd ever let me out of jail, or if they'd probably just eliminate me. So I don't like people like me. So I really wish that no, I don't wish for anything. You can't wish. There's no such thing as luck. So I know that Father will keep me strong and give me the strength. But I wanted to come in here and make this, you know, stream up that none of the people, they would all have to be here. You know what I'm saying? They'd all have to be here to be there in my case. Under right of discovery, I have the right to call witness before trial. All those witnesses, because the opposite side, the prosecuting and the defending gets I get to see all your discovery. You can't bring something in court, go, hey, look at this, look at what we got on you. Well, I didn't get a chance to go over and review that and look at that, so that can't be brought in, and I can, you know, suppress that evidence in court. So it's called the right of suppression, and the right of discovery and suppression of evidence. They're going to try you. You have the right to bring your evidence into witness. So where's my son? Where's my daughter? You know, my daughter was kidnapped. My son. So they you know, they can't postpone this case because my son's missing. They're the ones who didn't get him. I went and said, here he is, and they failed to go get him. So they're going to have to drop this case. They're going to have to drop this case, or they're going to kill me, guys. One of the two. Or they're going to try to put me under some psychological, you know, order or something. I don't know. They already came and took guns from me, saying that I was threatening them, and I never said. I said, if you came here again and hurt my animals, I have no right other than to protect myself. You know, don't come here. Leave me the fuck alone. When I leave my house, I won't be armed, but don't come here. Leave me alone. I have animals now. You hurt me, you maim me. I have every right. You already assaulted me, and I have proof of it. So I have every reason to tell you, don't come back here again. You know, so that's not a threat. That's my right of Fourth Amendment to be secure in my house, papers, persons, effects. They're idiots. So it'll work itself out. But I do hope that someday, through Father, his will be done, that these people held accountable, and that so these people can't keep destroying lives like they have been destroying. For many of some of these people, the seated judge on the bench for many years, Michael Taylor, the elected Sarah, retired now in this case, retired. Ted Martin, retired. People have been in this case that have put me in jail with the stuff is not even on the case anymore. So he's going to have to get called into, this is, so maybe the blessing that Father will just, it'll come to a close, and then I'll learn where my son and my daughter are at, and I can just move forward with the ministry. This is tearing my life to just shreds, and I'm trying to keep it together. I'm okay. I've been assaulted and maimed, and my daughter was kidnapped, and now she's missing, and my son was shot. Now he's missing. He was grenaded, and now he's missing. I was grenaded. She was grenaded. We all got grenaded. None of this, and all of us went with hands in the air. Nobody resisted. This is excessive force to the extreme potential attempted murder charge on myself by hitting me with the concussion grenade in the face. It's meant to go into a room like smoke or tear gas to fill the room, or with smoke or gas. So is a concussion. You throw it into a room, not at somebody directly. That was a direct hit, a direct assault. That was an assault and a potential attempted murder. So will they be held accountable? Father's will be done. I can't. All I can do is keep standing up. I'm just a man. I can't even go hire an attorney right now because this attorney will not quit. And he said he did months ago. And so I can't even, that's a delay. That's a right to, that's a stalling of the case. That's a right to speedy trial, Sixth Amendment violation, right to due process, violation of my Fifth Amendment. Just over and over violations, but okay. I'm going to end this one. Much agape. Thank you, Father, for creating this. I just had to come in and create more discovery against Dave Vandenberg, that he's criminally liable, so that when he goes to trial, that they look at this video right here and they go back and they said, yep, he could have dropped the no contact order like Tracy had told him, open court 5 or 6 times. Then he would never been denied call for service. And they would have gone and looked and found that his daughter was dead and his son was dead, or that they were alive or kidnapped. But now that whole property is completely empty. It went vacant. Or my son, where I found the only lead, because they wouldn't look after and try to go find my son, and nobody looked for him. I'm the only one advocating. I went and did it myself, and I found a trail, and now the trail is gone completely cold. Everything in that house is gone, and it's a massive property. It's not a small property. A lot of goings on. It looks like a fucking ghost town. So something's not right. I don't get a good feeling about it, but I'm not always right. So I got to just use the law and not care about my feelings. This ain't about my feelings. This is about the, what they're doing here is lawful, legal, lawful. They need to follow the Constitution. And so they violated every right, my constitutional right. And I only have one left, and that's my right of free speech. So I'm going to use it until they come take it away from me. So, and they'll have to beat the heartbeat out of me, kill me, poison me. Don't give them ideas, man. Whatever it is, what it is. My day of death's already written. So I don't fear who takes my flesh. I only fear who can take my flesh and my soul. Thank you, Father, for that. So, all right, guys, thanks for the comments. Appreciate your time here in the comment section that is part of this ministry. But this was again another evidentiary stream of my right of due process and discovery is going to be violated, because they're dragging this case out now for 14 months and they haven't even opened the file on the case once. That's a clear violation of speedy trial and the right of due process. So many violations. Will the offenders, will the people, the criminals in this case be held accountable? Or will this go dust in the wind and you guys just a bunch of Americans? This happens to a bunch of Americans every day and you don't care. I'm a veteran, for Christ's sake. They're doing this to United States Army veteran. Pretty sad what this country does to their own people who serve this beast system, this country, huh? It is what it is. You pay a price. You're going to stand up and speak up. You're going to pay the price. So that's the price that some of us pay. He'll pour out a just measure when he returns. So hallelujah. Where do you put your treasure? I know Dave Vandenberg probably has no idea what awaits him someday after he leaves this flesh. Father will pour out a just measure on this man if he gets away with everything. I'm sure he has done things that we would never want to think about. I can't imagine what the criminal Dave Vandenberg has done in his lifetime on that bench too. Not off the bench. I can't. Well, I don't even think about that. But on the bench, if somebody just looked up the evidence, they would find that he is an absolute criminal, and his mind is clouded, and his judgment is not clear at all, and he's ruined a lot of lives. And I think when this comes out, a lot of people will come forward and say he did this, and we'll find that there's a lot more criminal activity going on here than just the things that have happened to me, my son, my daughter, and the people that have been around me. This community has suffered tremendously. This county has suffered tremendously because of this criminal judge, Dave Vandenberg. So I'll be facing him in a couple of days. What will he do to me? Will he tell me I'm crazy? You're blogging too much about us, and you need to stop saying we're crazy. No, I didn't say you're crazy. I said you're criminals. So they call me crazy. So, all right. Much agape, Pastor Revelation, Pastor Apocalypse. Links are in the description if you want to support this ministry. Comments are always, leave a comment about something you heard. Somebody might come in and take a look at what they saw here and maybe want to take a look at the live stream. Okay, appreciate you guys, the ones that are hanging out here to the end. A couple hours to be I might be back a little bit, maybe ish. I like to give myself a little wiggle room. I don't like to be put on a clock like that, but come back if you have time. I don't know if the notification button is working on this channel since it's shadow banned. So thanks for your presence. Appreciate you being here. The positive, is appreciated. It's a long walk here. I've been, over almost a year, 2 months now, 14 months, and no answers about where my son and daughter are at. Well, I'm so glad I have faith. I seek no vengeance of no man. And Dave Vandenberg, you'll get your time. You'll do your time. If you aren't in prison while you're here, or you're getting to watch Rome Discover, you had a chance to make this right, and you didn't. And that's why you're being removed and you're being disbarred, and you're going to spend the rest of your life probably in prison, because I'm not your only case. I got to probably say it to your face. I've already told you once, Dave Vandenberg, you're going to prison in open court. So it is discovery. It is already on the record. So will that prevail? Will Dave Vandenberg be held accountable for all this criminal activity? We'll see. Time will tell, right? So I appreciate your time again. Please leave comments, like, subscribe to the video if you want, and leave comments about what you've seen here. So I am Pastor Revelation. I was arrested under that name, Revelation Apocalypse. Whoa.